Evening and welcome to another Darwin Innovation Hub. I guess a live instructional. Usually I have like a whole bunch of stuff prepared for this as well, as far as we go with slides, slide decks, all that kind of thing. But not tonight. Tonight, what we're going to do is go live showing you how to do this whole thing of designing web apps and really cool things in Google's Gemini. Now, one note before we get started, you can do this in ChatGPT as well. It's not quite as good as the Google's Gemini at doing it. The output isn't quite as sophisticated and quite as interactive. I've got terrible light in here, so excuse me for the terrible glowiness going on everywhere. Also, you can do this in things like Perplexity. Perplexity is very good at this. It does do a very similar kind of result as what you get in Gemini. Not just marginally less, but still pretty good. And then finally, what you've got is the ability to do it in something like Claude. So if you're a Claude user, you can do this. It's okay. It's not as brilliant. I've tried them all. Gemini definitely does the best job of this. You're thinking, well, what the hell is he talking about? If you've been following me anywhere on LinkedIn lately, you'll have seen that I've been pumping out these weird and wonderful different ways of looking at data and ways at looking at the things we do online, like blogs and all that kind of thing, but not blogs, like something better than blogs. And one of the examples I'll share the screen with in just a moment and show you what I'm talking about. So let me get to Google Chrome over here and share. Here we go. Okay, so one of the first things I created when I got in here was what I call the Big Northern Territory calendar, which is very, very applicable to those of us in the top end and in Central Australia, but probably not applicable to anyone else. But to me, what I had is a problem. My problem was that I didn't have one place where I could go to that would allow me to, see all the different celebration days, school holidays, public holidays, even things like celestial and religious days as well, and as well as like the fun days. And whilst I haven't got all of them in here, I did a pretty damn good job. So if I look for something like, I don't know, I can scroll down here and see all the days of this month. So you can see there's some very specific things that are to do with Darwin top end, even the Nhulunbuy Artisans Market, Darwin Show Day, which is a public holiday. Which brings me to the way I can filter this down. If I just want to look at the public holidays in the Northern Territory, I can just unfilter all these other things, and it now just shows me a list of the public holidays. I built this using Google Gemini. Now, this one took me probably about 3 hours all up. That's the most I've spent on any of these, and you can see the amount of detail. Like I can click into Anzac Day, for instance, and I can see more information from the Army, so army.gov.au, about the history and traditions behind Anzac Day. So if I click on that, it goes through a page not found, but it usually would go through a page that's actually valid. What I might then do is say, well, I'm not looking for public holidays, I'm looking for awareness days. Here we go. So we've got World Hepatitis Day, International Self-Care Day, promotes, some of them have got some links through to them. These ones don't. International Friendship Day does. So that goes through to the United Nations, the International Day of Friendship. So you've got some information there. This to me was really useful because I wanted one place where I could go to, because a lot of clients, they like to play with the idea of having social media posts around that stuff. It's not big for me. I don't tend to do that stuff, but some people absolutely love doing that. So it was just me solving a problem. And you can then go to the time right through to June next year. So I can go to April 2026 and go select all, and then they come up. So I can, go to a specific date if I want to go to the 15th of the 10th, 2025. There we go. It takes us through to October 2025. So that was a really cool thing. I just got it to do a lot of research for me first, and then I sort of filtered it down. As I said, it took about 3 hours just to keep telling it, do this, no, take that out. No, no, I don't like that. Change that color. I want this in my fonts, all that sort of thing. So that's the big kahuna kind of thing that you can create. You can go far further than that. I have done some things which are far bigger than that as well. This is probably the simplest stuff I'm doing, which is basically creating some resources in my resources page. So it's creating things like interactive blog posts. So blog posts that are more than just text and pictures, they're interactive. So I can explore the advantage, click on things, see things pop up slightly differently as you click through them, go through, see graphical representations of stuff. This took 5 minutes, 5 minutes of research that I gave it. So I said, here you go, this is what I'm actually looking for. This is based on a YouTube video here and a blog over there and something that I wrote over here. And I want to smush that all together. And can you please then turn that into an interactive, highly engaging thing in my brand colors, which I gave it, and in my brand font, which is outfit. And put the headings as bold and then all the other areas as just regular. Excuse me, just 1 second while I sneeze. Well, didn't quite get to the mute first. Sorry about that. If I woke everybody up. And you see, it just makes it highly graphical and then highly interactive like this, right? Really, really cool. And that to me is far more engaging than any kind of blog would be. So when I pass it on to someone, they can go, man, that actually is really cool. I've got more of these over here. So on my Clickstarter website, which is my training company's website, I've got research I've been performing. So things such as I wanted to put out this I think is coming out tomorrow, which is my weekly social media platform updates report. So every week I'm going to do this. I've got it going on Google Gemini, going out and gathering information from various websites to get the updates. So things like Meta and TikTok and X and Pinterest and all the different change logs and getting it to find any updated information that week. Rather than going, here's a whole lot of stuff or doing a big long podcast explaining it, I've just designed this interactive report, which is my platforms report for this week, for the week of July 3, 2025. And you can explore what those different things are. So a bit of a rundown. Okay, there's Meta, TikTok, X, and the market. I can then forward through it. And then it's giving me, what's going on between Meta's ecosystem and TikTok's expansion and what Meta is doing with that. It's also got those sources in there that goes to the original source of where I found that information. So that one from Facebook, that one from TikTok. And then building these lovely charts, the things that make it so much more graphical and really fun to look at. It's so much more enjoyable because you think, okay, I can take all that information in a lot more clearly. And you've got more graphs, more processes that's showing that. And then here we got more graphs. So more graphs that make it look great. And you can hover over and it gives you information about each piece of data as well. That's another example. So when I get through to that, I told it to do some bottom navigation so I can go back through the previous ones as well, back to where I started, or I have the top navigation there too. That's some of the research stuff. One more of those I'll show you that I did recently was when I had a workshop that I did for a bunch of graduate accountants about all the things that they're sort of looking at as they're the things that they can do on social media as accountants and knowing that there is legislation and all sorts of regulations around the way they can behave online and with advertising and that. I got Gemini to go out and do a full report. So it gathered all this information, which I then made sure it cross-checked and got it all right, put some images in there. This is like a massive report of gosh, how many pages? Like a huge amount of pages. It's a huge amount of information. 27 pages. There you go. Go, 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 go. And when it did all this and found all this, I said, well, that's great. I want this in my voice and I want to go over it and check it. And I did. And I was happy with what was in there. But that's not what I wanted to give to those students. What I wanted to give them was an interactive guide that they can very easily navigate around that information. And it looks like this. So here's the all the stuff we talked about, the core principles of the do's and the don'ts of foundational principles of social media for an accounting professional. Then going through the platform deep dive. So we go into each platform and what they're particularly good for: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then the ethical compass. So looking at, these are also clickable, so you can read them way better than just giving them a blog and saying, go to my website and read this page. I've given them a full actionable checklist in here. Some of the spelling is very American. I usually check that first, but I didn't in this case because I was in a hurry. I basically had 2 hours to get this together and I had to. And this plus the slides that I did helped me to do all that. So that was, another way of using it. The other thing I'm doing is creating tools. So I've got a customer persona builder. So you can put in, if you're a someone who's working with a client in a marketing sense, you put in the name of the person who is the target customer. They give them a name, some kind of memorable quote about them. Put in their age, their education, family, and occupation, what their motivations are, frustrations, personality, and then you can export that to PDF or the HTML. Probably want it in PDF though, so you can download it and take it with you as a file of this is the customer persona I have. Beauty of that is you can also take that PDF and add it either to something like ChatGPT and help it to inform what your persona is. Lots of these different things. So let's try another one very quickly. A social media content planner, which is another quite a big one actually. So this one allows you to start planning, putting in your topics. Let's just say, I don't know, YouTube and TikTok, the topics that we want to talk about as content creators. Values are, I don't know, approachability. Probably spelling terrible at the moment. Positivity and maybe safety as a final value. But I can also suggest these different values as well and chuck those in instead. So it will replace the ones I had in there. And next, it's going to pump out a plan in this file format. So if we go next, when do we want to do it? We'll do 3 posts a week, starting on a Tuesday. Um, let's go next. And what Tuesday do we want to start? What week do we want to start on? We'll start on maybe the week of the 21st. So generate my plan. And it starts, here's the first three, a combination of YouTube. It's going to have the value of belonging with the question of what can I teach? And then it gives you a bit of a plan to do. And you can export that. Add a week if you want to go 3 months, so go 13 weeks. And it keeps rotating through your topics, your values, and your questions so you never run out of content ideas. So that's a cool little thing that I told it to do based upon something that I already teach clients to do. Now that's all great. You're thinking, this is fantastic. How the hell do I do all this? So have to excuse me, it's got a bit of a cold at the moment. So I'm on the road in Brisbane right now and managed to get myself a cold. So just hold tight while I just quickly deal with my. There we go. I'm back again. Okay. Now, how do we do this? How do we make all these fantastic things? We use a thing called Google Gemini. And whilst, yes, ChatGPT is probably what most people have got, particularly the free version, you can use Google Gemini for free up to a point as well. You can do quite a lot of pretty good things for it for free as well. You don't need the Pro version, although the Pro version is included. So this 2.5 Pro is actually included if you've got a Google Workspace account, so paid Gmail, basically. If you've got paid Gmail, you have got 2.5 Pro, and it's not really got any limits as far as I know. I've certainly haven't used them. If you don't have paid Gmail and you don't have paid Gemini, there's this Flash 2.5 version, which is fantastic. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. It does all the same things. It just won't go to necessarily the same kind of detail. It goes a little bit further, but it is faster. The Flash version is faster than 2.5 Pro. Now I'm using 2.5 Pro because why the hell not? I get it for free with my Google Workspace account. So what I'm doing here is an example. I want to build an interactive guide to moon phases in Darwin, Northern Territory from July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2026. I want an initial page that shows the moon right now. So at the top, I want to say, where's the moon right now over Darwin? Then a dashboard showing its phases, its rises and sets for the next week. And the user can then select a specific date or scroll through the weeks on the dashboard. I want the colors to be dark with light writing, clear like Helvetica text, because I really like that font. Make it very graphical, include colors like yellow and orange and red. I also want to include some interesting facts about that month that come up below the dashboard as the user scrolls through. This took me about probably, gosh, about 6 minutes to do. So I won't make you wait through 6 minutes. I've already had it generate this tool here, this web app. So this is the exact same thing. You see, I want to build the moon guide phase, all the same text there. Said, yep, I'm going to create this beautiful guide to you in a beautiful, fully interactive dashboard. It's telling me what it's going to do. So I'm like, okay, let's see what it's done. It's generated all this code. What I need to do, what I do is I want to see now this preview. I go preview. This is what it's built for me. This beautiful Scroll through moon phase calendar. It's crazy how nice this is. You can imagine you could do this with, I don't know, positions of if you're an astrology person, you could do this with astrology, anything where it's got equally predictable data that it doesn't really change. That's something you can do. And it also gives me these great little pieces of information down the bottom, which is great. I can share this, send it to some people. That's awesome. But what we really want to do is probably put this online for other people to see, right? That's where all this code comes in. I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to go over to my web hosting. So Control A for highlighting it all, and then copy, Control C, or you can right click and go Control copy. And then I'm going to go over to my SiteGround account. So my SiteGround account is one of my web hosting things. So you might have something that runs cPanel as well. You'll have access to a file manager within cPanel or whatever you're using. I'm going to go into a particular folder that I'm using for all these things. So I've got one here, which is, I've got a few. The Customer Persona Builder is actually hosted right there. A Personal Brand Builder is another app I built that's hosted there. I'm going to tell my SiteGround hosting to create a new file. So new file, I'm going to call it Moon Phase Darwin.html. That's important. Confirm. Now it's created a file, but that file is now empty. So it's going to open up an empty file and go, well, that's great. Nothing's going to go there. Double click on it, and then I'm going to paste in my text, the code that it gave me, all that code, and then save. What I can now do is go to that address, which is reports.clickstarter.com.au/apps/ moonphase darwin.html. And I've now got that live. So you could actually, go there yourself. I'll even put it into the chat so you can actually go there and check it out for yourself and see what that looks like. So let's go to everyone and paste. There you go. There's the link. Off you go and have a look at the moon phases. Now, of course, I could be really clever and go, well, what about the moon phases in Adelaide or Perth or Canberra or the East Coast or I don't know, Kathmandu? You can do that. You just change the instructions you want to give it. In fact, I can go back into these instructions and say, change the location from Darwin to, let's change it to somewhere really out there, to Yellowknife, Canada. So it's going to go through, it's going to think about that, and it's now going to go through and rewrite all of this code. So it takes a couple of minutes to do it all. It's got a thing, it's got to get the data it needs, and then it's going to do the same thing. And that's how I could just take this and create a bunch of websites. Imagine this, right? I know fishing people constantly need tide times. The problem is that every website that has tide times on it has a million ads on it, and you have to click several times to get through to something to find those tide times. Imagine if you didn't have to do that. You go to a website that you've created that has all these different locations for those tide times. It'd be a great way to get some web traffic, perhaps put a few very subtle Google ads in there, and you can make a bit of money. So that's the sort of thing you're able to do is to produce these. Now, before you would have to go to someone and get them to do all this for you. It means like endless having to go and ask for developers and their help. It's still generating that code down here, so it's still going, which goes in thousands and thousands of dollars. I just created that in and just adjusted it. So look at that, it did it in about. There you go, Yellowknife. The moon over Yellowknife now is the Yellowknife is 92% illuminated, waxing gibbous. And the same thing, July in the aphelion, it's doing the same thing for a different location. So I can change that to any location I want to. It will now do that. If I wanted to show, I don't know, a map of where Yellowknife is, I could embed a map in there. This is just code. So I could add other things to it if I am fancy with code and know what I'm doing. Or what I could do is just tell it, create a holding space at the bottom of the page to insert a map of Yellowknife, Canada. That is full width and I don't know, 600 pixels high. Now it knows that I'm like my typing is absolutely atrocious, but it knows what I'm talking about. So it's going to refactor all that again. It's going to go back and rewrite that code, and it's going to put a holding space in there. So I can go to maps.google.com. I can go to Yellowknife in the Northern Territories of Canada. There you go. There's that map. So I want to get that map. I want to share it and I want to embed the map. So I need to get myself, oops, that embed code. I'm going to copy that HTML. So I'm going to embed it into that place. So let's go back to our thing here. Not there, not there. So it's done all that. So let's see what it does. It should, once it does all this code, show me a space that it's holding for the map at the bottom of the page. Just waiting for that to now finish the code off. So as you see, there's a bit of waiting where you have to do this, but that's okay. In the free version, actually, it is a lot faster. There you go. Map of Yellowknife will be displayed there. So if I look at the code and I look for map, here's a map placeholder. So in here, there is map will be displayed, will be replaced here. So I just go in there and I will place my iframe in there. Let's see if it actually works. It may or may not. Yeah, it did. There you go. So it's actually put it in there. So I can now take that code that I've redone and I can make it go elsewhere. If I want to just put a few extra things in there, I can just fiddle with that, to make that another, another line break. That's not a very modern way of doing a line break. It's showing my age. There you go. So it's got a bit more gap there. I can make it go wider because I want it to go much wider. So I could go in there and play with the code and look again for my map right down the bottom. Now, I don't recommend that everybody goes and fiddles with code because it's something which it can take a little bit of working around to do. So look at this code. You're going, I don't know what I'm doing there. So I'm going to go 100%. I'm going to do height of 600 because I've got enough room for it. Preview again, and it'll just refresh, and now gives me a much bigger one. Although I did 100%, I'm going to do a bit wider than that. So it's only done 100, not 100%. So I can fiddle with that and just keep going until I get what it is that I want to do. So in that case, I did 100%. I could probably just do maybe 600 by 600. So it's a big square, but 800, a bit wider. So back into my preview, it refreshes, and I've got now my much bigger map. There you go, much bigger. Fully active map with Google Maps. Take that code. I can then take that in and put that onto my version here, which has the Darwin map. I've just overwritten that. And I should be able to refresh it, and it should hopefully give me, yep, the Yellowknife Mood Guide. There we go. And the map of Yellowknife in there too, if I just wanted to include something that was, and look, this is really super basic stuff. This is not going to be world-changing code. This is not going to be something which is going to be replacing developers anytime soon. But what it does do, it puts in the hands of us the ability to do a few more things like this. So I'm going to do another little thing. You notice I've done a lot of blogs and all that. So I'm going to go to one of my videos, right, on YouTube. Now, YouTube produces transcripts on every video. So if you go into the video, this is one of my ones, I go more here and it'll show transcript, and it'll show me then the transcript on the left-hand side. I could copy all that. I've got a little plugin that I've put in my browser that makes it a bit quicker and easier. So I'm going to copy that transcript. I'm going to go to Google Gemini now, and I'm going to say, turn the following into an interactive guide that helps someone to apply the learnings in this subject area. I'm going to say, make sure you use the colors and fonts in use at dantestjames.com. And then I'm going to paste in all that information. So this one's going to think for a bit. Let's get rid of this because it's going to put some stuff in. So I've just taken a transcript of everything I was teaching about on there, and I wanted to say, create one of these interactive guides. These ones I've been, carrying on about how I've been doing these interactive guides and using them for things like workshops. So it's going to do a little bit of thinking. I haven't put the canvas on. Sorry, I'll just redo that because I was supposed to put the canvas on. So when you do it, put on canvas there. So it's done that anyway. It's decided to use the canvas, thankfully. worked out what I wanted. So it's going through now. It's using not my font, but that's okay. I don't mind so much. I can fix all that later on by making the changes. It has picked out my colors though, which is good. So it's doing all this code here. It's got a 5 questions, an idea generator, 3 values, 2 topics, which is exactly all the stuff I'm talking about in that particular video. Oh my goodness, how quick was that? How quick was that? So it's done this little guide, which is define your 2 core topics. This is like the same thing I did before. I could just go, this is psychosocial safety. And the other one can be, I don't know, maybe workplace investigations. Investigations. Identify your 3 values, honesty, approachable. I'm going to put in the one that just got in there, effective, because it's actually taken my values in there. Funnily enough, it knows me pretty well. Ask the big 5 questions so I can generate a content idea. So, oh my goodness, look at that. And that's not using AI. Drawing on your value of effective, ask you, how can I deliver a list about workplace investigations? More tools and perspectives. It's got some ideas of what you might want to add in later on. But this has essentially got a workable tool that was used in my video. In my video. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop into another screen. Just wait 1 second. So what I want to do is grab my colors and I want to show you how I then make that into my style. So it's got to find the right one. Here we go. So let's say I want to add a copyright credit in the footer of it. So with that copyright credit, I want to put in here, I've just got all those things saved. I want a copyright credit to Clickstarter Education, linking to clickstarter.com.au using outfit bold and my colors. So it's just done sort of black and white there and a bit of blue. They're not my colors. So I'm just going to add that in and I'm going to redo that code in my colors. And this is a fully workable piece of code that I can go and stick in to a website. So usually what I do, I put this code into a code block into my content management system, which I'm using a thing called TrueBlue Connect to do all my websites. You can do this in WordPress. I don't know if you can quite do it yet in Wix. It might kind of mess with the styling because it is a full, HTML file, but I know you can definitely do it as a code block within WordPress. I can do it in my one as well. I had to tweak a few little things here and there, but you can get a bit of help with that kind of thing. So I've got now, there it is in my style. So I've got my colors, my purple, my orange, all the things I would want, and it's giving me my little copyright thing at the bottom that links through to my website. So I've then immediately, in just a couple of minutes, taken the text from my video and designed a little tool that I can send through to people at the end of the webinar to say, hey, like the webinar, here's a tool to help you use this. Why wouldn't you do this? This is like a point of difference now that I'm getting. In fact, I went to speak at a conference on, what was it, Thursday night in Sydney, and it was to a whole bunch of finance brokers who I could sell them a whole bunch of information. I had 5 different topics to cover in 20 minutes, right? No way they're going to take all that in. So I said, I know you're not going to take this in. Scan this QR code and you'll go to an interactive guide that has all that information in it. And it was a private, hidden away interactive guide with a no robots.txt to stop the internet from guzzling that up and putting it on Google. And it's a private place just for them to go to for the sake of that particular conference. This is a point of advantage you can use. I'm getting more work because of this. And as you can see, this is not taking a heck of a lot of time. It's actually something which you can do pretty quickly and pretty effectively using a tool like this. Now, you can do this same sort of thing with ChatGPT using the code canvas or using Claude for their what they call artifacts. You can do all that stuff. It's going to work just fine. In Perplexity, you can use Perplexity Labs to do the same kind of thing. It's just that Google's Gemini seems to be the best at this. It's very quick and it seems to be getting quicker as well. And if you think I just fluked that, I'm just going to take somebody else's. Let's just see. You're going to see all the crazy stuff I watch on YouTube. Let's see. Guide to digital agency branding strategy. Let's just look at something else. You're seeing a whole lot of influencers that I watch. Meta is about to change Facebook ads forever.
Okay,
Okay,
this is a big one.
awesome. So I got a transcript over here. Now, I don't recommend you taking someone else's material and doing this. You should generate your own or write your own. I'm just going to take his for the sake of, illustration. Got it? Let's go to Gemini. I'm going to start off a new chat, go in my canvas, paste it in, go create me an interactive guide to help people apply the learnings in this video. There we go. Paste it in. And it's going to do the same thing. Now, I'm not going to give it any extra instructions about style. So I just want to make sure that it's not just like something that's trained in a way that it will know what to do with my stuff. This is doing something for this other video that just was a random one that came up on my list about Facebook ads. So let's just see what it comes up with. Bearing in mind too, there's things that you can do in here that go very advanced. So something I've got that's very advanced is an interactive guide for I'm using it basically to track my my applications for events during Northern Territory October Business Month, a little app that I built myself that actually works with a database. So all these things are basically just code on a page. You can go to any of those pages, grab the code, steal it, do stuff with it, doesn't matter. I don't care about that. I just like to share the joy. But the ones that need privacy, you will need probably some help to do that. If you want logins, if you want security, if you want something that's in a secured encrypted database rather than just sitting on a page, you may want something a little bit less cavalier than what I've done here. I've done something pretty insecure. But that said, it's not like anyone can really hack and get into it easily. It's more a case that they can just copy my code and replicate it somewhere else. And like I said, I don't care if they do that because I think that this is one of those things that I think everybody will be doing at some point anyway. And here we go. So this is going a little interactive guide. I'm going to take this and publish this on the website and you can have a play with it. I'm going to take it down after this, of course, because this is someone else's material and someone else's fun. So I'm going to go fbads.html and I'm going to paste that into my new file on my web server. Here we go. Let's just hit save on that one. I'm going to go now to, instead of that one, I'm going to go to fbads.html. Let's see what it does. Here we go. So we've now published a little test tool. How AI ready are you? How much of your current Meta ad budget is managed by automated campaigns like Advantage Plus Shopping? Oh, yeah, I'm probably some of it. Next. I write everything myself from scratch. Next. When it comes to ad, my process is flexible. Great. It's taken me to the last question. How do you feel about Meta creating thousands of personalized ads variations? Cautiously optimistic, I think. See the results. I am the pragmatic adapter. So it's giving me now a little step-by-step tool that I think is crazy. This is just taken from some dude on YouTube's like transcript of his video and it's gone and created this amazing tool. So I can go, well, I can learn about these things, differentiate by use a sellable proposition. It's got an 18-month action plan and it's where I can save the plan. So what I would do there is say, where it says save the plan, make it export to PDF because I don't want everything saved at all. I don't want to save people's data. I want them to just do it and get out. So what I would do, let's just go and actually make that change. You're learning how to vibe code tonight. That's what this is called. It's called vibe coding. So you're kind of not really coding. You're just vibing your way through by saying, yeah, this is what I want to do. At the end, where it is saying, where is it here? Where it save my plan. So at the save my plan. So I'm not using any computer jargon here. I'm just going on at the save my plan button. Change it to export plan to PDF. So it's going to go back through, rewrite that code now. We're creating apps here. Like this is the craziness of it. This is real live apps that are running on the real live World Wide Web. So you can do this to make all sorts of stuff. Now I'm doing super simple things. It's not doing these in a way that uses databases or external things like React code or anything like that. It's just using JavaScript and CSS to be able to do these incredible things. So you can see up here, it's drawing It's CSS from a thing called Tailwind from a content delivery network. Here is Cloudflare is delivering through this version of JavaScript, and it's getting the fonts here from Google and from, yeah, GStatic, which is Google as well. And then getting another one here, the font, the Inter font, it's getting from Google as well. So it's bringing in all these tools from free locations that Google largely and Cloudflare and Tailwind have created for people to use. So it's got this new code that it's factoring up now. Shouldn't be any much longer. And this will give us a version now that will let us output our results of our little test that we did from old mates. Here we go. It says export plan to PDF. So I'm going to take my code again, put it back into that website, right over the top of it and save. Let's refresh the page. And if I go down the bottom, export plan to PDF. And so I go, my plan is awesome. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to differentiate by saying be awesome. Brand tone of voice, fun. Don't spell in American. Collaborate, you explore the creator marketplace. I'm just making some little things here. Metapixel. And then I'm going to export the plan to PDF. And now it's downloaded a PDF to my computer. So I can go there, open that up, and voila, my plan is awesome. There's my plan. Not much of a plan, but that's what I mean. You can actually get this to do all these step-by-step things. One of the most fun things I created, and honestly, it's starting to become a very used part of my website. If I go back to my site here, the tools, as I created a disk profile tool. Like disk profiling is something that's done in a lot of workplaces. A lot of teams do it when they're team building. You open this app up and it's in my website where you start the assistance. It's doing all the things saying your privacy guarantees. We don't save any of your data. It stays in your browser. That's it. And this is not our stuff. It's based upon the disk theory and it's not run by the people who own the trademark. So I look at that and go, it's giving me 30 questions of basically the disk profiling questions. And then outputs at the end, I'm not going to give you like 30 answers right now. I could just go, most least, most least. Like it's just going to take me ages to do this. So um, let's just see how fast I can get through it all. I really want to show you what this outputs. And I spent approximately 30 minutes building this. I needed it very quickly for a workshop I was doing where I wanted to get everybody to do their own disk profile as part of the workshop. And I needed it very quickly. So I had half an hour to do it and I managed to get it done in half an hour. So that was the kind of pressure you can be under and get these things done fast. Of course, now I do this almost every day. So I'm getting very, very quick at doing these things. But I guess the point is that this is a tool now that you can start to build into your workflow. So instead of just creating blogs, which are horribly boring and horribly well, just not read. No one reads them anymore. What we want to do is create a bit more interactive stuff with, quizzes, tools, interactive guides that people can click on and download things from. So they're actually walking away with some kind of value rather than us just simply writing out big blocks of text because that's what we've always done. One more question. Looks like I'm going to do it. Here we go. So it's giving me a disc profile of the motivator. My core strengths and challenges, career and workplace, potential challenges, relationships and collaborations, and I can export to PDF. Downloaded my disk profile. Here it is. So it's giving me that as a PDF that I can take with me. And if I really wanted to, I could then have it to, put things like, my brand down the bottom. As it is, it's already got my colors in there. So that's enough for me. I'm not trying to make $1 million and become a disc profiling master because I'm not certified for it and don't have any desire to be certified for it. So that's the kind of little things you can produce. Moon phases, tide times, disk profile reports. You can try pretty much anything that your heart desires to give you some kind of new tool that you want to do. In my case, I'm loving doing these research. I do deep research in Google Gemini. So I go into, say, I go into a new Gemini chat here. I click deep research and go, I want to know the data that supports the idea that work-life balance and work-life blend is not as effective for mental health as work-life blend. This is going to take like ages, so I'm just going to let it run. I'm just putting in like a basic theory that I may or may not have, or you could take whatever theory you want. It'll go then and find all the data for it. So first of all, what it's going to do is have a bit of think, and it's going to say, okay, well, I'm going to go and do this thing. I'm going to look for this material for you, and I'm going to come back and come give you a plan of how I'm going to do this. Here's my plan. All right, I'm going to define and contrast the work-life balance and work-life blend, analyze reports, results, create a report ready in a few minutes. I then go start the research, and it starts that process. It starts going all over the internet, getting literally hundreds of sources of this kind of stuff. And look, I wouldn't be doing any academic research on this. You really need to check your sources to make sure you agree with it. But you can filter that down by saying basically, I only want to use sources from this university, this not-for-profit, this think tank, and say only use those sources. Or you can say, just use my sources. Here's my PhD, here's my thesis, and you can load your own in there as well just by hitting the plus button there and loading it in. And then you can see what it's doing. It's going to all these sites, distinguishing what these different things are, working it out. And at the very end of this, it's going to give me something to work with. Now, if I go back to one of my old ones here, let's just say, social media news, contextual speaking. Okay, contextual speaking. I did some research on this one. So I got it to do that research thing, start the research. It started it, when it, here's the research it gave me. And then what I can do with that research is I can either save it to docs, I can copy the contents, or over here you got this little create button. See this here? It's going to let me do a bunch of different creative things. I can create a web page, which is where I discovered how to do this, create an infographic, or it can create a quiz. Unfortunately, you can't then take the quiz elsewhere. It's to quiz yourself. You can create an audio overview where two people's voices are going to discuss this report, and then like a podcast basically. Or you can describe something else that you want to build with this information. So if you want to build a interactive guide, for instance, like I do with those other things, that's where you'd put that. For now, I just want to do like a bit of an infographic just to show you what that looks like. It's basically a web page that you can take this infographic and put it in. But I took this and turned it, when I did that research, into an interactive guide that sits on one of my websites. And I've used it as a way of sort of articulating some ideas that I had. And I gave it some instructions to just go to very specific places to get its information from, and then had it offset that with what my own theories were that I'd written about in a blog post. So I said, cross-reference these sites and give me something like that. So this one is now creating me in HTML a visualization of that information. So this is going to look good. And you can take this out and insert this into your website as well. Can't take it into social media unless you take a screenshot of it and you put it in, like I've done pretty much on these here. So if I go down here, this is what I've done with this post here on LinkedIn. I've screenshotted a part of what it did in this thing to do with SEO as part of what I did to present that information in a way that I thought was going to be a bit more interesting. And I've done it a few times. Let me see another one. Here's one. I generated this on ChatGPT. Didn't like it, so I went and recreated the same layout on Canva. And there's other ones where I've taken screenshots and then turned them into some content. I'll probably have to scroll down a fair way. I post, there you go, there's another one, my social media content planner. I screenshotted it on the website and put it in there to show it off. That's this I actually put in ChatGPT. So this actually came into ChatGPT, and I screenshotted that infographic because I thought it was really cool stuff. Here we go, beyond the talking head, the canned speech trap. This is what it's done. It's created me my infographic. So it's just a very graphical way of looking at the subject we were talking about. I think that's the right one. Yes, it is. We're still doing that other one over there. So I could take that code, do exactly the same thing, whack it on my web server, or put it into a WordPress code block within your WordPress posts or WordPress pages. In my case, I'm doing it in TrueBlue Connect, so I can insert it into there. And to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I take that code, go into my CRM. So here, hopefully I'm logged into the right one. Take a moment to come in. So this is my CMS. This is what I do all my business in. So it's all my social media posting. It's my uh, funnels and opportunities and training courses and everything is in there. It handles all my payments and my bookings and all that sort of stuff. This is not my one. I need to go into another one, but that's okay. I won't do that for now, but I can take that in and copy it my into my uh, into my posts in here or into my blogs, or I can just put it into a page that sits alone. So what I've done, if I go back to this here, this is a page on my website. The interactive guide is sitting on its own page within my website. I could just as easily, though, for instance, in one of these on my other site, in this one here, why people change when they become successful. This is actually not sitting on the website, it's sitting elsewhere. I've put it into another place where why people change. That's not actually on my website. That's on another location. But it looks like it's part of my website. If I go back into my website and off I go. Our other thing is still going. That's going to go for quite a while yet. It could take about 10 minutes to get all the information I've asked it to get. I didn't really filter it down. And then I'll get the same option where I can, create, if I go back up to where I was, I can take that research and create something out of it all. So in this case, we had export, but then down the bottom, we had done more. So we'd gone, here's my interactive web application again. And that's where I created my final thing that I put into another website elsewhere. So that pretty much, my friends, is what you can do. Um, there's so much more you can do. It's more of a case of if you've got an idea, try it. And the beauty of it all is that you're speaking in plain English to this. You don't have to know code. You don't have to understand what you're doing with code. All you need to do is just talk to it like you're talking to a person. If it's easier for you, you can use something like a text to speech converter where you can just speak to it. It doesn't have a speaking bit like ChatGPT does yet. I think it will get that very shortly. I like talking to ChatGPT because I think better when I'm speaking rather than typing, and my typos are absolutely atrocious, as you've probably seen tonight. So that's all I got for you tonight. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful, seeing it live like that. No doubt you'll have a million questions. So hit me up on LinkedIn if you'd like to know more about how we do all this. If you're in the Northern Territory, we do have the Digital Solutions Program you can access where you can get 3 hours of my time to help you out with this kind of stuff. If you've got an ABN in the Northern Territory, we can do that for you. Otherwise, you might be able to get some help if you're in Western Australia or Queensland through the same program. Just won't be with me, unfortunately. I'm only operating within the Northern Territory these days. But of course, you can always pay me. Everyone loves money. And I wouldn't say no. But look, honestly, just try it, give it a go, have a chat to me in LinkedIn. I can probably give you a few tips for free without having to make you pay for stuff.